Next up was an email from Ryan Krosky. He emailed us at gamescoop@ign.com, just like you, Cam. And he wonders if Nintendo is listening to its fans. He says, first off, I've been listening to Scoop for several years. Thanks for all the hours of entertainment.
Oh, you're welcome.
I have a simple question. Why does Nintendo refuse to listen to what its fans want? Most people want an HD console with online gaming, third-party support, and amazing exclusives. Nintendo is really trying to monetize. Oh, that was my little commentary. Now, I think this is anecdotal. He's anecdotally saying this is what most people want. I don't know if that's true or not.
I mean, yeah, everyone, because the internet, everyone wants something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Nintendo's job is to figure out how to sell you something you didn't know you wanted.
Yes.
I mean, what people want is the PlayStation 4, but instead of Sony on the side, it says Nintendo.
Yeah. And it's like, I already have an Xbox One, I have a PS4, I have a
But those
computer.
games don't have, for lack of a better word, the Nintendo magic.
Yes.
Or the consoles don't.
Yeah, but I mean, if Nintendo listened to what fans wanted on a Super Nintendo, it would have been a more powerful Super Nintendo as opposed to redefining video games and taking them to 3D and redefining control in a 3D space. If Nintendo had listened to fans after the GameCube, they would have wanted something that was just like a PS2 or an Xbox, but instead they went with the Wii, which is one of the biggest pieces of entertainment software, hardware of all time.
Yep. Same with the DS and the 3DS. They could have easily just continued to make prettier Game Boys.
And like, yes, they swing for the fences, and fences that we don't even know exist.
Yep.
And yeah, a lot of times it's a dud. It's like, listen, we didn't want the Virtual Boy.
That old baseball term, the dud. He's had 4 duds this inning.
Babe Ruth is on a bad dud streak.
I'm not a big baseball fan. It may be a big baseball term. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I look at my entertainment center right now. There's a PS3, there's a PS4, there's an Xbox One, and there's a Wii U.
Get that PS3 out of there.
No, keep it
I don't
there,
know why
man.
it's still there. You know, every now and then.
Anyway.
And most of those consoles are incredibly similar things. You know, I'm not going to say the Wii U is such a revolutionary thing, because honestly, I think that's one of their big problems this generation is that they made a rather iterative console. Like, it's not.
Well, it has the gamepad.
It's got the gamepad, which is cool. You know, and I do like playing off-screen games with it. But for the most part, like, how many of the same thing do you want? You know, do you want 3 HD consoles with the same third-party games and some exclusives? Because I don't. Like, I want one that's a little different and does weird stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the PS4 and the Xbox One is the main difference, the only difference that matters to me is one has Uncharted and Bloodborne and Ratchet, and the other has Sunset Overdrive and Halo and Gears.
The dream might be, if they left them alone, would be for Sony and Nintendo to just join.
Yeah.
Like, it's the Nintendo PlayStation.
We've had those theories before.
And I know, like, I've been on this show before being like, just make a HD box with good online. Just do that.
Yeah.
And I do want them to do that. I want them to revolutionize something along the outset of all of that, but make the base console sort of have the same parity as the other ones. So there's not like we don't have to play Assassin's Creed with only 4 people in it, you know, or
I mean, it's just the problem with competing on power. I mean, the real reason why Nintendo doesn't do it is because it can't do it. You know, Microsoft is one of the most valuable companies on earth. Their operating system is in 80-some% of computers, and they make billions and billions of dollars off Windows and Microsoft Office and hardware and software, you know, and Sony is, I mean, PlayStation's a much bigger portion of their business than it used to be, but they still make television. They're a consumer electronics company. Like, this is all Nintendo does. Like, they're a much, much, much smaller company than Sony and Microsoft. They can't compete on power.
no.
They'll never be able to. So that's why they have to do something different every generation.
Well, it also seems like they're really starting to realize they have these older fans, right? So like their NX is a handheld that uses cartridges. They just unveiled the NES Mini, which we got to see at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And then this week they just announced the official NES book, Playing with Power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does seem like they're definitely trying to monetize the nostalgia of their older fans.
Smart.
Which is like,
I was even
finally.
theorizing the other day that if the NX cartridges looked like old NES cartridges, but extremely tiny.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's just a cool little play. If you look at the marketing around the NES Classic, there's a red bar on top that says Classics line.
Yeah.
Which means that like they're possibly launching a new brand, and I don't know what's going to fall
They're
under
softening
that
up the
umbrella.
ground for that at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're in this interesting spot where Nintendo is 80s kids and 6-year-olds. Like, that's who Nintendo is now.
They call them the 86s.
Yep.
But
Together at last.
Not allowed in the
Children and
bars.
old men.
yeah, I would love for them to, like just all Sony games and all Nintendo games are now only on PlayStation, and Sony leaves Nintendo alone to continue making their incredible software experiences.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Well, I think one of the big problems
It'd
was
kinda be sad, too.
there were kids in their late teens, early 20s that were trying to get into Nintendo, and they wanted to Twitch stream and YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nintendo made that incredibly difficult for them to do. You know, they're like, get off my lawn, or like, pay us if you want to do that. And
Yeah.
that's difficult.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
What do you think about that book, Playing with Power?
Oh, I pre-ordered it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
looks
looks gorgeous. It was on
really cool.
on Amazon for like $24.99 instead of like $45 or something the other day.
Yeah, deep
So-
dives on 17 big NES games with excerpts from their Nintendo Power articles
Yeah.
and their
Super
That's
cool.
so
big
cool.
world
Yeah.
maps.
Yep.
The book itself looks like a giant NES cartridge. I'm totally
The
into that.
slipcover is great.
Yeah.
It's very cool.